So let's talk first about the market. Sometimes it's slightly scary, the market, especially if you are not familiar with sales. But in reality, there is not such a thing as a market. It's a pure abstraction invented by economists and then centuries later by marketeers. Actually, I'm both. I'm an economist and a marketeer. But basically, it's just a symbol that represents many individuals, persons, and each one has a personal interest. And that's good. That's good because most of us in the webinar are persons. Also, as you can hear, the bot is also around here. But the good thing is we all can relate to the people, to the market. So we are all experts in the marketing. Thing is, it's a bit challenging because it is now the market is what is called thinner than ever. It's like a long scale. It's full of ultra thin segments, even just as small as groups of people, even single individuals. Call it atomic market. And it is, as we said before, the most crowded market ever. So basically, everything that you do there is almost ephemeral. It has a very, very short lifespan. And that's basically, the idea is no more blockbusters. That's good, in reality, for the small teams. Because the big companies, what they play in their advantage was the economies of scale, and they cannot do it anymore. At the end, you are talking about being on your own. Sales is an exercise that is a one-to-one. And in reality, it's not just because you are selling, let's say, in person, door-to-door, or by phone. Even when you are selling in a webinar, on a website, it's a single message that is going to impact a single mind. So that's why you're saying you are in your own, and that's good. That's great, actually, because one-to-one, you can beat anyone. You can beat any large corporation, be more agile. And actually, what matters is the relevance of the value to the person that both you and the big guys are trying to influence. And in reality, I think you do have startups have a clear advantage because we're closer to the ground. We are real, and the big guys have to fake it. So the good thing is there's a huge change. The shift is because the web has given us all equal access to everyone. Everybody is accessible. And that's absolutely critical. It's a virtual world that really blends people, companies, influencers. So basically, we are all sharing the same space and competing with the same, let's say the same pixels. So the only thing is that it doesn't mean that this is a completely fair game. The whole social game, even the referees are not totally impartial. Basically, they get paid, and the big guns have more tickets in the attention show. Basically, the bigger your network, the more exposition you will get. The algorithms, the platforms favor the winners already. You know, they're hyper-connected, and that's a tough thing. That's tough because basically it's very hard, not impossible, to beat them at the game. But you can outsmart them, you can outvalue them, or even outstand them, if there's a word. No? I mean, creating outstanding content. And this is super hard. It's hard to create. I mean, lots of work, lots of hours. You have limited time and resources, and then basically you share it, and nothing happens. It's just a drop in the ocean, maybe a few likes, and then it's buried again for the next one in the timeline. So devastation. It is very hard to keep the motivation. It seems an impossible race to win for a single person or a small startup team. And it is indeed super tough, especially if you are swimming against the timeline currents. No? If you play by the book, literally the LinkedIn book or the platform's book, you will be working for them, for the platforms, not for you. Like when you don't pay, you are the fool. No? I'm not saying that LinkedIn or social selling is just a waste of time. No? I'm certain I know they are essential tools for any professional, even more if you are in sales. But you have to, following the formula that is completely just sponsored by the LinkedIn or the gurus, it will produce you very little. It will help them to create more traffic. That's it. So that's why we are going to look it's time for looking at the rules. To change the rules, you need to understand them, to master them. It's like hacking the brain, if you wish, no? Basically, we are going to look at strategies that they've been around here like a bit longer than Facebook. We are talking about how the social structures work in all living species, including the primates and chimpanzees, as we humans. We all live in social systems where cooperation is essential. The idea is not, in reality, it was not the alpha male, the one who was stronger, who we know. No, it was more the one who secured the stable alliances. That was the concept of building relationships. So we are actually, humans, we are social by design. So that's a example. It's quite funny to see there's some resemblance of the animal world to our world, like the concept of the kissing babies, no? That the politician that is just taking the picture opportunity, and basically this is actually done, and it's been done for thousands of years by the chimpanzees, just to actually create these relations. So basically we work the same thing and the same way as our ancestors, and relying the same instinct. And they, of course, the advertisement, all this, there is a lot of things that it's been already playing with that, magicians or the people who design fast food, no? But in the sales and marketing, we could actually understand a few of these principles to take advantage for our, basically our social relations. And this is first, what we need is to work in the process, to make, basically to make it flow, no? I don't like a process, the idea of like a linear process. They say the buyer actually is not linear, actually it's a mess, actually. And this concept of splitting in a kind of a linear model, it creates silos. It creates like, okay, the first stage, the awareness is marketing, that's demand generation, then we move into qualification, inside sales, SQLs, and then the opportunities are thrown to sales executives and so forth. But it's not natural. And it is actually diminishing the role of these employees who are just in a kind of a niche or silo. Basically, the buyer right now is able to do more and more things by themselves. So we do need employees. We don't need to help them really holistically more. So I'm more thinking in a model that is more like a pod. Like well, it has different layers, and it can be applied as a whole thing, as a business, in your startup, or even just a small team, like maybe a pod with inside sales and marketing teams, or even as a fundamental unit as the individual. So basically, now the technology is so cheap and easy and abundant that it's possible for every individual to become their own sales and marketing team, like a whole company. And that's the big difference with the past. So just before we start talking about how to fly, how to make it fly, one detail is to think that we are talking about B2B here. We're saying things are not like traditional model of attraction to your website, and then some of them will qualify with. Basically, you will attract a very small percentage if you are talking about B2B, and 98%, I think, is of people who are in a website, they don't leave their contact details. So basically, this is not going to work in B2B. And if you are talking about the other way around, like the traditional call outreach, no? It is also very, very inefficient. It's just 1 to 2% of success rate when you are cold calling or emailing, and it's very spammy, and of course the GDPR. So basically, the problem there is not the call. It's basically it's not just the outreach. It's using cold methods. A customer that is not really ready for any interaction, it will feel like an intrusion, and that's the principle of inbound, no? And basically, we are trying to help them to basically attract them by helping. And basically what we're talking here is to still face the same challenge of an atomic market. But what we are pointing is try to decide which areas are you going to focus, which is the points that you want to really make well, your positioning and be laser focused there. And then look for people who are actually, well, basically expressing some signals of interest or related to that pain or that problem, and build a relation, build the channels to make it flow, basically whatever message you want to give them. And then is the moment when you are going to use the content, very relevant content, to actually to attract them and to move them from what we said, these different stages. So this is what we said, the growth foundation. This is the pot. That's the concept of applying that to the whole company, or to just a very, very specific initiative, or even a problem that you have. No? So talking about basically what can we use in our advantage, basically one of the principles of the brain is we feel as we are highly sophisticated, but in reality our brain is cheating on us. It's all the time saving energy. That's the goal. And using autopilot as much as possible. Basically, that's the concept of, well, the vision. We just focus on some part and are blind to the rest. It's not high definition. The rest is just whatever we're looking. And it's the same concept with intuition and first impression. We live in a world that is full of, it's ultra fast, saturated, and we rely hugely on first impression. So basically, that means the focusing effect means that amplifies the importance of whatever is easy to understand by the person. So basically, they will quickly relate to something or say, oh, I don't understand, I don't have the time. So you need to really engage with an existing pain or problem in the brain of the customer. That's essential. And maybe it's not exactly what you're selling. It's slightly different, not accurate, but it's much more worthy to try to relate it to an existing model in the customer mind. No? And basically, it's what we call aha insights or aha moment. It's not just about talking slightly like adjusting the copy. It could be, but it's more about understanding the concept, the customer, and when you're with them and you see that they are starting to say something and they nod, they move their heads, and that's what I say, nodding moments, or basically this aha, or this. That's great. Somebody said, yes, you understand me. So that's the brain thing. Now, how we apply that into our, let's say, work. Basically, we are talking about the positioning that starts with you. Positioning is about a brand, but the brand is not a logo. It's not it's a story. Basically, nobody cares about your logo or your domain or beautiful design website. So don't overspend there. Basically, the important thing is to create this story. Humans have been transmitting knowledge via stories since before the language. So our interpretation of the world is a story. So the only sensible way to really compete in this crowded market is by developing this story, this brand, and basically about what you mean, what you stand for, what's your story. No? So basically, you can use it not only a kind of a website, but connect it, the activity, the content that you're sharing, and just whatever, maybe they can read the Medium or use Quora or different places, that depending on the target market. But it has to be all like flowing in a kind of onboarding smooth journey. No? And basically, second point we are talking here is about being social. We said we are designed to be social. So it's very important to actually be part of the circle. We are talking about influence people, but reach comes before influence. So basically, that's the concept of being online, and basically what we said here, the social proof is when you're sharing content and somebody else's as well, give you a kind of endorsement or any kind of ways that you can do it, like the authority, create authority, become establishment. You're talking about inbound marketing, associate yourself with HubSpot, that they are the leaders in that. That's basically what we're doing here. And an important thing is to be seen, to be in the timeline. You have to be consistent. And we'll talk later how to do it. No? So basically, second point here in the social networks, to be seen or to be there, It's basically you have to participate in well, platforms. And I'm not going to really make a huge speech about social selling. The funny thing of social selling is actually it's not about selling. Social is basically is just to build your credibility, never to close sales. It is a process that will help you to be in a position to influence. Basically, three things. It will help you to build your story, we said before. It will also critical to help you to get the insights about the people, about what really interests them, and that's the essential to be able to relate and to share and to know when to reach out. And also, it's a great channel. It's a channel that is not so saturated as others. No? So basically, the key takeaway here is if you are not active in the social channels, it's like you don't exist. So that's the why. No? And now, how are we going to do? How we can really use it for ourselves and basically what's the key here. One of the things in selling, most critical stage, that's basically that multiply or reduce the outcome by a factor. It happens before even you are engaging with the customers. It's about the selection of the targets. It's the building the list. It's many business start still use like traditional ways, like of course biography and titles that are essential and are very important, represents the type of work people do. But other demographics, like maybe number of employees or revenues, are very rough measures and actually doesn't show anything about if that particular person is interested or looking for what you are selling. So that's the point. The key is to define signals that show an interest in what you sell. We're talking about leads. You can find leads everywhere. So you could find, you can go there where they are more visible and accessible. Not always the bigger networks are the easier. So let's say WhatsApp, for me at least, is something like I think it's not good for a kind of a sales pitch, and maybe Twitter is too noisy. So it depends. I think depending on your startup, if you are using like a kind of software and tools, and you are in the innovation, Product Hunt is great or Capterra, GitHub, to see people who are let's say giving reviews or talking about competition or related products to you. No? But you have to find your niche. Maybe events like any web summit and all the stuff, and definitely an essential one. Most people in B2B, they are on LinkedIn, and here the key element is to follow the activity to engage. No? So the thing is, and that's the challenge, no? How to do it in a way that basically it's human. No? It's everything is too messy there, like too much going on, and we do have other things to do. So that's not easy in the sense that LinkedIn is not really helping. They don't really want to give you much tools. There's of course Sales Navigator. That's the thing that you can have some premium features. That you can have tags, you could organize by folders, and you do have the activity there. But I'm not let's say a lot of things. Not great fans of helping you to scale or automate things. No, and well, basically, if you go for that, HubSpot actually do have a nice integration with the CRM, or free to CRM, so like that. And basically the Sales Navigator it's the premium version of LinkedIn. It's required for that. But there is many other ways. I mean, the other day somebody was sharing a way to use just the folders of the Chrome extension, but Chrome basically the browser, to see people who basically organize it by creating folders, and it was just saving their post, the activity, no? the link to the feed and the activity feed. That's a way, a nice, even much better way. I don't know if you maybe are familiar with with this document database is called Notion.io and no, Notion.so and Coda.io. They are great. Basically, it's like a document, but they are linked databases. So basically, it's very cool. If you have the extension, you can just right click and send it directly to a database that will be all basically linked with anything you do, with projects, with tasks, with tasks. It is a very nice and cool way to do it. And there are some other tools. We'll talk later about a quite nice tool that helps you also to actually give you alerts, to monitoring what they are sharing, so you are aware, no? Of sequences. We'll see it in the next section. So we are going now in the third part. It's actually quite important principle. It's called the priming effect. Basically, it means that you are perceived as someone who can help. Humans are constantly, often without noticing, evaluating how others can help us with our objectives. No? Our brain is looking for cues that tells if a person should be trusted. And the priming effect, that the famous, the ducks, that the first thing they see, they go and follow in printing. Basically, it also affects, or if the humans, when we are subject to them, basically anything that makes people more familiar will be seen more favorable. So that's the principle of the advertisement. It keeps on repeating. So for you, it's a question of building trust. And well, basically, it's enough for making us, let's say, a positive bias. So that's again important for you to be in the circle of the people who are you're trying to target. No? And also it's interesting, many other principles like reciprocity and something else works only if they feel they are like in this circle. No? It's a kind of a compounding effect. No? Sorry. So basically, what you need to do is to do some networking to get in that circle. And yeah, many people really see us. Well, they say, I don't have time for that. And that's, of course, I have 100% get it, that they don't have time to spare. But you can choose not to go, well, say, to Facebook or some family matters. That's optional. But when you are talking about customers, basically you are missing opportunities. It's not really an option. And you do other things like going to an event 3 days, that is really much more time. So it's a question of understanding if it's really something that it can bring you or not business. And definitely, I think so. There's other alternatives. Some people are using like, well, these basic tools, no, like autoresponders and things like that. But the point is, if they are too basic, it misses the point. They will be seen as a basic autoresponder, and it doesn't bring trust. Basically, the reciprocity of somebody taking effort, it's basically destroying that. So you know that it doesn't cost you anything. It's like marketing automation in emails. So I don't feel compelled to respond. So it's ineffective, no? So what we do, most of us, is this. From time to time, we just create some moments of peaks of activity, and in that moment trying to respond and to like, and then disappear again for quite a while. So this is actually one of the principles of influence from Cialdini, Robert Cialdini. Is talking about the consistency, and this is again that basically it is it's very unlikely that you are going to really reach the people that you matter, or it matters to your business, because it's random moment. So this is very at the end inefficient, no? And so the concept is good. Let's see how can we do it in a more structured way, and that's what we're talking about. Using this concept of pre-targeting, is anything that you could do to improve your predisposition towards you, is creating a sequence or a cadence of interactions. Basically, you could find the people, and if they share something, give it a like. it's a very interesting thing that is happening. It's the inversion of the problem we were saying, like you share something and nothing happens. But in this case, you can take advantage of that. Many people, including super, let's say, the CEOs of companies, VPs, and internal people, are sharing things, and they are like getting very little traction, and they are waiting for this to happen. They are trying to, well, you have your little heart trying to get so engaged. So the first people who actually help them, give them a like or a comment, share it with their network, they will see that. They will actually feel good about that. And not only that, they will receive a notification from LinkedIn or from email or from Twitter as an email. They will have also in the browser a notification. They will receive it in their email, in their phone. And if they are also a freak like many here, like me, they will have it in their watch. So that we're talking about 4 times receiving impact with your headline, with your positioning that may click in their brain, and in a kind of a way that you are helping them. So the reciprocity is working. So it's not going to take you and with just one like make you sell, but it is a very nice, let's say, way to start a relationship or a conversation with sales. And that doesn't mean, this is a stage, just giving a like, and then you should maybe get the connection. That's a good way to say why I'm connecting with you. It's not like some guru says that you should basically trying to always say the reason and make it very elaborate. Sometimes you are selling, so they say, I want to sell you this. It's not going to be perceived very nice. And actually you are untapping your cards, no? So it's better sometimes to leave it very subtle. And if you have done that before, that makes sense. Yeah, so your content, so that's why I just willing to network with you. So never ever try when they accept it, boom, sell the pitch, because that's basically everything you've been building and opening the relation and the opportunity is just, so everything was for just selling that. So you're going, and that's a clear, it happens sometimes and makes no sense. Thing is, you have this window, this door of opportunity. So use it to give the value. That's we're talking about the building the bridge. So give value there. So, and basically there is you can do it manually. You can use Sales Navigator. We said as a kind of you need the team structure to it's about €100, I think, $100. And there are some other tools. Everything has to be like evaluated. There is a very cool tool that exactly that's what we're talking about, called sequences for me. And basically, you can discuss the case with me if you want, and we'll see what's the best for you. No? The last part is the layer, let's say, is what brings it all together. No? We're talking about the content. It has 3 essential roles. We already said it gives you the credibility. It gives you okay, this is a specialty. This is somebody who knows about the thing we are talking, and it helps to educate. We are now going to discuss, and to also give some insights about what's people doing with your content to prioritize the opportunities. So the most important thing, I think this is, for me at least, one of the most important slides or moments when you realize that there is not a linear cycle for the business, but there is a movement that it has to happen in each brain, each of the buyer's brain, for them to actually buy. They first need to go from the emotional part when they have their problem, they feel it, and they have to move it and evolve their solution, let's say, until they understand that this solution is a rational way to solve the problem. So this is actually going to happen all the time. And the question is how you move them. You have a lot of maybe channels, as we said, in the social networks. You have different pieces of content and where to use each of them. So the thing is to understand that in the beginning, we are talking about a kind of intuition, the phase of understanding the why. They have a problem and they need to understand why is there. And then we will move about how to solve that problem. And that there is a moment of more content that educates and tell them the different options. And only then is the moment of talking about, at the end, talking about the what, the rational things, the comparison, the pricing. So it's not, it doesn't bring anything if a guy who is starting to think about the problem and you say, okay, this tool, this is the price of the tool, or give you a discount. Well, and what? No. So this is something that is going to happen at every moment, at every individual brain. So it's not only for your startup, it's for your next call. Obviously, you have to balance the effort in each of the things. But basically, you need to think about all your pieces. Where are you going to put a video, a white paper, a post for talking about the problem or for talking about comparisons? And that's what we said. Is you have to map your content. So it's not a roadmap. It's a map of your content in relation to your different connections. It's a kind of each connection has a moment, and they may be closer to you, or they may be not yet understanding, or they may be still not aware of their problem. So depending on that, you have to map, and that's the key thing, is to map, create an onboarding process. And you have to work on which content for attracting them, which content will strengthen the connection, which content will well, whatever, depending on the stage, move them to the next stage. So that's what we're talking now about, the content mapping, no? That helps you to bring those to your influence area, no? That's the key. And everything that you share, obviously, and it's cool when you do it online and you track what they do, and you can know if something is really working or resonating or it's not. So you better change the kind of pitch. But it is also essential for you to understand, to focus. Basically, are you talking about people who are still in the awareness phase, but don't involve salespeople there? They just teach them more. On the other hand, people who are more ready, I mean, their comparison prices, maybe that's the moment where you can help them more. No? So that's essential. No? And basically, you could use as well closing the loop with advertisement just at the end, not in the beginning, not to attract it, just to do the retargeting and people who are interested in something, give them more and things like that. But that's another talk. So this is the wrapping. The end is talking about the number 5 is not really in the 4 stages, we say. It's basically the process, how to make the process, let's say, smooth. We are all in a very, very busy people and a society that is drowning with a flow of information. So we need to help them connecting the dots. It needs to be very easy. Otherwise, everything will go to what we call the path of the resistance. So most of the time means do nothing, no funding, no buying, no action taken. And that's wasting the time and all the money and the resources. So just a few practices from the SaaS products. The most important thing is make it worthy, whatever you're talking, making it exciting, making something, okay, that caught my attention, the aha. And then it has to be very, very simple, a clear action. What's next? What do you want me to do? Important thing is the seek more. No, I want more. Give me something, but I really would like to get a bit more of that, more understanding more. So this is also the principle of scarcity. No, make it not give everything in the first time, and also make it irresistible. Not just because it's great, but absolutely advisable if you can, but also because maybe it's very easy to swallow. Nothing to do, it's just a free trial, just a call, just share it with a friend. Or also because it's the fear of missing out, no? The FOMO. There's also different ways to make it irresistible. So that's the point. It has to be flowing in that way. No, always think what's next. No? So just a recap is we have talked about well, the positioning, the clearly define everything that you are going to offer. It has to be laser focus of very clear in the aha moments. Then finding the perspective, finding who cares about those things, and maybe around the adjacent or complementary topics, and trying to help them, basically, to help them or to reach these guys. You need to first create these bridges. You have to create these targeting actions. So basically, you belong to their circle of influence, and everything basically can use it the content to create this flow, to learn or to teach them how to move from the why and to move from the how to solve their problems. No, so this is about it. Basically, just coming to the end and saying, we talked in the beginning of the startup mindset. It's I know that some people now will say, "Oof, that sounds a lot. This is too much complication for me. That maybe I'm not even a sales expert or a CEO." But that's the thing. You have to take the responsibilities for everything. Maybe not to do it, but to understand and to how should be done. And basically, if it's an opportunity that is worthy, it's worth to make it right. No, it doesn't make anything to try as lame attempts like, wow, let's do some emailings or some events, try to see if something happened there. At the end, this is disconnected. This is something that it will take more time and effort and not give us consistent results. So that's why we have created, well, we call it a kind of a enterprise growth boutique. We're talking about an accelerator. We are partners with HubSpot for startups. And the point here is not to attract everyone and to make growth hacks for everything. It's to be laser focused on some startups that want to find these deals, enterprise deals, that take them to the next level. We call them lighthouse deals. Basically, the one that makes a difference in your business plan, and basically for this is in the round we have some partnerships, and obviously this program has some benefits. One important benefit is HubSpot for startups give you a 90% discount in their software, plus lots of content and lots amazing of help, and basically you are all free to attend. You are invited, and you can get into this program. I don't know, Kara, if you want to add anything here. I'm just grabbing. I just to mention like the last thing here is basically in sales, in startup, you can do a million things, work very hard, and sometimes it doesn't move the needle. You need to really focus on what needs to be done, and this is both a mentality and an ability, and basically, well, we try. We would love to help you to get it done. So take the opportunity and succeed. I don't know, Karat, just seeing anything you may want to add, maybe with the program or any questions.
Well, just to follow up there on your point, Jorge, with the majority of people on the call, they're currently partners, which would mean they're an incubator, accelerator, or a VC, or they're currently a startup who actually can participate in HubSpot for Startups, which is getting your sales, marketing, and customer success software on HubSpot at a 90% discount, which is great for startups, keeps them focused in one space, helps them grow within a time frame, and you have the ability to action everything you said today, Jorge, in a kind of a system. So that's just the offer. We'll follow up with it, but for the guys on the call, I know Elmi, we've been in touch in the past, Jacob, Steiner, is there any specific questions that you'd like to ask Jorge around, sales and, how you can, I suppose, do more sales for your business in a specific industry? Feel free to kind of unmute yourself, ask the question. Steiner said it's a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steiner.
Any questions at all, Steiner? Jacob, you're very quiet all of a sudden. That's unlike you. We've had a lot of conversations via email. And does the question have to be for B2B? No, B2C is fine.
Yeah, there's of course, the program HubSpot for startups is for any kind of segment. When we are talking about here, we do have this focus because that's what we understand more and that's what we are focused. But well, we can discuss because sometimes say, oh no, it doesn't work with me because I'm B2C. But really, what you need is to target influencers or stakeholders or partners, and that's B2B. B2B means basically targeted.
Okay. Quick question in there from Henrik, calling in from Sweden. And the question is, how do you make sure that you close a deal with the right person as opposed to the wrong person early days?
Mm-hmm. Well, that also needs to understand a bit better, but it's very important, as you said, in the early days, sometimes it's more important to be very selective with who you are talking instead of maybe trying to apply a growth hack to grow and to get more, no matter what, more customers. The thing is, you are trying to find the product market fit, and that's the important thing is to really understand, talk to the customers, and that's why it's essential basically to establish this relation. So a very targeted approach, and I guess it's a question of talking basically.
Okay, just to follow up on that again, Henrik, with multiple contacts in one company, it's very difficult to avoid tire kickers. So Jorge, tire kickers are like time wasters. So how do you get to the decision maker fast is what Henrik has asked.
Well, actually it's interesting because often in my personal opinion, experience, I often see if you are really, how I say, touching the strings or to the point, or sometimes it's easier to go higher than in the middle layer. The middle layers are basically often management more concerned with the little whatever departmental agenda. But if you go to the essence and you do it right, CEOs will say, okay, let me listen to that. That's absolutely my case. Always been working like that.
How do you avoid the middle layer? Is Henrik's question.
Well, basically go straight to the top, not nothing else. It's much better. I mean, you can have it, definitely. I mean, and definitely you cannot go with a empty pitch or whatever. Try to really this process apply to your top CEOs, to the top level, and don't be afraid at all. They are humans, very, very approachable. They are at the end. They have more strategic problems in mind, and usually more open to startups and things like that. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, good answer. So thanks from Henrik. A quick question from Elmi. I think, Elmi, you're dialing in from London today. Elmi wants to know, do you have any tips to sell to enterprise companies, so bigger deals?
Yeah, well, the cool thing with a bigger deal is you have let's say, to map all the stakeholders there. There are a lot of politics going on there, and of course, you do need to go higher than possible, but you do need to cover flanks. You need to cover the inner politics. So it is a question of well, finding your what we sometimes call like your supporters or people who are going to help you, give you insight, visibility, organization, chart, something like that. And again, the same concept of reaching the highest possible, the executive sponsor, and then play a bit. You have to work hard with these different agendas of the people, and try to work all the way, all the flanks. No? So it's a bit more. That's why it's called the complex sale, because there's a lot of complexity moving around. But again, it's just a question of finding the levers for each type of people or agenda. No?
Nice. Thanks for that. Thanks, Elmi. Just one question. Thank you, Elmi. Okay, one question from Jacob, all the way from Denmark. What about the vertical of sharing economy space? Can you be more specific on that, Jacob? That's a bit general.
Economy.
So the shared economy for me. Sorry, my mic doesn't work. No problem. Just put it in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I know a bit of sharing economy. It has different things, but I think there's of course a question of the stakeholders and partners who play there. I mean, it's a bit difficult. We don't know exactly which area, but we may be talking as well about somebody who has a vested interest there. It could be I don't know, maybe it's an industrial group or housing or finance or somebody, municipalities, anybody who could try maybe to create this ecosystem. Basically, we can see that people rent out, private people rent out to each other. A firm to rent out to private people. And yeah, sometimes you need to understand a bit more close to what
I think we might take that question offline because it's not very specific, and definitely worth a conversation. We've about 3 minutes. So what I would say, guys, thanks, Jacob. What I would say is what we can do is follow up with a 15-minute conversation with us after the call, send the recording, and then actually spend more specific time talking around any extra questions you have. Is that okay for you, Jacob, Jorge?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. I'm super happy to discuss your cases and try to work on that.
Okay, well, from our side here in HubSpot from Dublin, thank you so much for your time as always, Jorge. I really appreciate it. Super beneficial and great to hear it in English. I understood a lot more this time. So,
all depends. Sometimes.
No, excellent. Kissing babies. I laughed a few times at some of the expressions. So, thanks for that. And thanks to everybody on the call. I know you're all very busy, in particular. The guys that have stayed in the office, typical Nordics, English. The Italians and Spanish are on holidays. We've had none of them on the call today, but only Jorge.
Well, the thing is, because I'm in the Netherlands, it's too hot now in Spain.
Oh, right. So the work stops.
40 degrees. Of course. A
fiesta. Anyway, appreciate the time. We'll send out the recording, and if there's anything else, we're all still in touch.
Okay, cool. Nice to talk to all of you. Okay.
See you later. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.